Hi everyone, this is Killshot99 Gaming. This is The Walking Dead finale release date is coming soon. Yes, there are news articles to describe news articles, and there are videos to talk about release dates, because that's really all we're getting at this point. But I do want to draw back to a video we did a few weeks ago, because I called a little resistance. I'm going to talk about that today. It's not going to be I told you so or I was right. It was just an instinct, and but it is that is the way it's going to go down. Before we get into that, I do want to give a super special shout out. How about a shout out to all of our patrons, all of our PDL sponsors, our green team up on the screen right there, our moderators, just amazing support in everything that we do, whether it's random things. And we've done a lot of projects. We've done probably 3,500 videos over the last 6 years. Play Dead Live, our own game, The Walking Dead content, a lot of other game rollouts and play testing. So you guys are phenomenal, and I just want to say thank you again. I know I say that a lot, but I probably can't say it enough. I want to say thank you to all of you guys, no matter what project that I've kind of thrown myself into. You guys have always been there. So I'm probably the luckiest, most fortunate person that you'll ever find, because I have just a great group of people that love to get together and talk about some things. So with that being said, there is a whole lot of patrons, a whole lot of sponsors up there. Thank you for everything that you guys do. And we're going to jump into a little bit of tonight's topic. So now I did butter you up, because if I'm going to butter you up, I got to call out a few of you. Because a few weeks ago, how many people remember a few weeks ago when I said I have a hunch that they're going to do a virtual Comic-Con panel, and they'll give us either a teaser from the finale or they'll give us a date? If you were a part of that stream that we did, just raise your hand and say, yep, I remember that. I remember that conversation. Because if you do, you're also going to remember there were a lot of people in that stream that said, nope, it's canceled, nothing, not going to happen. And I said, well, just, hold tight. Give me a little bit of breathing room here. Back off just a little bit. And yeah, and that is exactly what's going down. So I do have a date for you guys, if you guys have not seen the news, of this is the date when the release date is going to be made public. So July the 24th at 1 p.m. Pacific time, which would be 4 p.m. Kills time, they're going to, there's going to be a panel for The Walking Dead, and featuring cast members Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Lauren Cohan. So they're going to probably ask a bunch of questions about Maggie coming back, and I'm sure they're going to tease. It's kind of cool that Negan and Maggie are both there, because that's sort of the elephant in the room. So we are going to get the official date. Now, when that date is going to be is anybody's guess. But you know what? I love bold predictions. So I'm ready to do a bold prediction. I see June Smith in the house. What's up, June Smith? Hello, Army. Walking Dead. Tonight we are talking about it. So, I'm willing to throw the gauntlet down, and I think I have an idea of when we can expect it. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say September 11th. That is the Friday after Labor Day. So I'm just going to go out and say Labor Day week. I don't think it can be too soon after Comic-Con. I think it's going to be that week in September, just to give us a little bit of time. Because, look, you can't really tease it. If you tease it, then it comes out a week or two later, I don't know. I think you got to have a little bit of time. We got to hype it up a little bit. We got to have time to talk about it. So it's got to be at least a month. Malcolm, it's got to be at least a month. It can't be 2 weeks. Now, look, I could be wrong about that. But I don't think it's going to be around Labor Day. Because, they want to captivate their audience. And here's another, and I'm not going to get into the politics of whether we should be in school or we shouldn't. You guys know we avoid all of that. But here's the other thing I'd say with that, Malcolm. I just don't think it's a great idea to roll out a season finale during the summer when people still could be vacationing. That's the other reason why I don't think it's going to be August. Now, as I said, we got our own opinions of who's vacationing, who's not vacationing, who should be vacationing, who shouldn't. I get all of that. But I'm just saying, based on normal summertime plans, I don't feel August is the best possible time. I think it's when schools and normalcy is supposed to return. So I'm going to say September 11th is my date for the finale. All right. One thing that you'll get here, we do like to have fun with some other thumbnails or memes or things that show up in our news feed, and certainly I'm not anti-YouTuber. I just do find a little humor in the George Drake feeds that always pop up. I'm not subscribed. I don't know why. His stuff just always finds its way to me. I think YouTube does it on purpose. I think YouTube says, you know what? Kills is going to be streaming tonight. Let's just throw a clickbait title out there to get him a little bit fired up so he's got something to talk about. So the most recent one is talking about, I don't know what it's talking about because I don't watch it, but the title is something about a crossover and it's got a picture of Clementine on the front of it. Just don't even know. I don't even know what that's about. There is no, I guess, come on. We've been talking about Clementine for years, and it's not rumored, it's not confirmed, it's nothing. There is no Clementine in our universe. Emperor says he thinks it'll be right before Fear the Walking Dead. Fluff, schools in Florida never that good to begin with. I guess everybody has their own belief in their school systems and what they learn from their school systems. I cannot speak. I never went to school in Florida, so I have nothing to compare it to. Well, see, that's kind of what I'm getting at. So Dan says September sounds the most realistic, might even be Andrew's birthday. So when I say September 11th, this is what I mean. That's a Friday night. That would be the AMC premiere. And for those that don't watch AMC premiere, I would give the date of September 13th. So, let me clarify that. I don't think it's going to be a Friday night on primetime television. So I'm going to say September 11th, early viewing, September 13th, official date. I just got a feeling that's when it's going to happen. You guys know, I've been right a few times before. I've been wrong a few times too. But, all right. Let me, I do want to jump to a couple other topics because is it just me or is Michael Cutlet's super busy on social media and insight on Walking Dead. Like, I know he directed a couple episodes, but all of a sudden it's like, man, he's everywhere. Interviews and feedback. I mean, just I see him more than any other star or former star, whatever. But he certainly has taken up a renewed interest in Walking Dead recently. And he did have an interview that I think is very pertinent to our group and things that we've talked about and debates that we've had. And, somebody mentioned a little bit ago how we funnel things down. And, yeah, I mean, and I don't want to come across as these are a lot of, well, you know what? I guess when you predict something and then someone talks about it and validates it, certainly your eyes go to it quicker than other things. You like feeling good about it. And if you predict something and you're proven wrong, well, you tend to avoid it. It's just the nature of what we do. But I did think this was a very interesting article because something that I felt very passionate about with the show. And I said on multiple occasions that I thought the introduction of Negan, coupled with the cliffhanger, coupled with the brutal death of the way Glenn and Abraham died, cost The Walking Dead some viewers. I thought it was a hole that they dug a little deeper than they should have dug. I would have done it differently. And I always have to, when I go into this topic, I have to remind everybody how big of a Walking Dead fan I am. I'm so much of a Walking Dead fan that I do feel a need to critique it and criticize it, and I feel like I can without being seen as a hater or somebody that's negative. Because I love getting together talking about the show. So when I use words that could be deemed offensive or out of touch, like arrogant. So I think, and this is me thinking, but I would like to see if you agree with this statement. The Walking Dead was extremely arrogant, thinking they could do a cliffhanger and kill 2 major episodes and make Negan into such a demon that it hurt them. That it was their arrogance of thinking that whatever they shovel out to the fans, all the fans would just readily accept it. Now, we're still here, so we accepted it, right? I did. I'm along for the ride. But I would say that much all in a short period of time is just like an amount of pride that you can kind of do anything and it's going to be okay. And I don't think that was, well, I know it was not. And because I'm talking to you guys who are still fans, I'm not talking to the people I was talking to 4 years ago that were fans, right? So I think that's why it's a hard conversation. If we had everybody back, like we did some live streams, I kid you not, 11, 12,000 people back in the day, live streams. So when you have that many people, and then all of a sudden, there's a lot of people that leave, and certainly we're at a different place. A lot of people watch the playbacks now, but it was everybody had to be there, front and center. You know, they had to talk about it in real time. And then to go from real time to see a lot of those names that I don't see anymore, I know why they left. So you take all of those elements, and then we have talked about the journey to redeem Negan, and you know, we'll beat that dead horse over and over again because Not everybody's going to see him as redeemed. Some people see him as redeemed. Some people don't care if he's redeemed or not. It makes no difference. But this particular article that Michael Cudlitz was in pointed out something we already know, but both deaths were particularly graphic, and we know it showed Glenn's eye. But this is a direct quote from Michael. I always think it was a bridge too far personally. I thought it was too much. Okay, this is not Kill saying it. This is not me. Because I said it for the last 3 years. This is him saying it and him taking a position on it right now. Now, some of that is probably the fact that either he or Glenn should have been around a little bit longer. So, I'm going to ask you guys this question, and I know why it happened this way, and this is why I used the word arrogant. Do you think that the show would have been better off if either Glenn or Abraham would have survived the lineup? As a fan, do you think the show would have been better off? And there's case in point, Mr. Warlock, right? I used to watch years back, and I left around that time. Could have been either person, Lewis. Doesn't matter. Whichever one you would want to still be there, Glenn or Abraham. So, we're gonna get a no probably, but look at the majority of the people that think the show would have been better off. Now, this is where I'm going to go back, and I'm walking a very delicate line of my personal fandom. But if all of you are saying yes, then it is arrogant to force not 1, 2 kills on you that are a little too much. So you got Michael Cudlitz saying it's too much. You've had me saying it for years it was too much. You have fans who left that tell you it was too much. And then you have most of the people who are still here telling you that the show would have been better off not to do it that way. June Smith says, The Walking Dead show wouldn't be as exciting without 999er kills keeping me abreast. I enjoy the excitement. Thank you so much, June. I appreciate that. And you guys give me some good motivation to get in and really dig down into some of these topics. So, there's 3 elements of that time frame, right? One is the arrogance element. You can do anything and the fans are going to just eat it up regardless. So we got that covered. The next element is satisfying what is perceived to be your fan base. So I would assume you had Robert Kirkman saying, we got to keep this pure. We got to kill Glenn. And you got Scott Gimple, who wanted to be cryptic, saying, no, we have to mix this up. Abraham makes the most sense, and we can do it this way. And then you've got the comic fans are going to be screaming, if Glenn doesn't die, you're getting too far away from the comics. Because it's probably, at that point, it was probably the biggest event in The Walking Dead is the Negan lineup. So to deviate too far from that when it's a known issue is risky in itself. I have not, Anthony. I've not read the new comic. I'm up to about like 120, something like that. Well, see, I can agree with Kel's point. Well, I can't. I can see your point, and I do think it's a good point. But again, it's spoken in the first person perspective, right? It's like what's important to you or what you like or what I would like to see happen. But just because our group here likes to see things happen a certain way doesn't mean that all the people that left appreciated the way it happened either. So again, my job is to sort of see it at a higher view because I understand that we're going to get different levels of passion around characters and story and show. But see, you could make the same argument. And Kel, here's why I think, okay, you make a good point, but I don't know that everybody's necessarily going to agree with that point. So, how many people would love if Rick Grimes never left the show? If Rick would have limped in, bleeding out, and they patch him up, and Rick would have been there to lead our group versus Alpha and the Whispers. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of Rick Grimes. Come on, where's the Rick Grimes fans? I know you're out there. Where are you at? So, based on, and I knew Kel was going to get fiery tonight because she was typing some stuff in mod chat before we got started. So, Kel, based on that train of thought of I like the show where it is right now, well, if Rick wouldn't have left the show, then the show wouldn't be where it is right now. And if we use Carl as an example, Carl would probably say, some people say, I wish Carl was here. Well, the show wouldn't be where it is right now if Rick was there, if Michonne was there, if Carl was there, if Glenn and Negan wouldn't have died. So everything is related. So I'm not saying the show is in a bad spot. What I'm saying is we probably could have still gotten to this spot with more fans if the writers would not have been and the producers would not have been as arrogant. Case in point, around 7-1 is when people really, really started to unload on Scott Gimple. And they started calling for his firing. And they started calling for his replacement. So, hindsight, right? There's certainly some things that could have been done differently. Now, if you ask Scott Gimple, was it a mistake to kill Glenn and Abraham? He's not going to tell you yes. I don't know. I don't know that I've ever seen Scott Gimple, and maybe he has. I don't know that I've seen him do it often and say, you know what, we really should have done this differently. I'm pretty sure he defended the Glenn dumpster thing. I'm pretty sure he's defended almost every move he's ever made. I'm kind of indifferent on Scott. I'm not a Scott Gimple hater. I think he's a brilliant guy. But I'm just saying, I kind of lived that in real time. People who wanted him out after that premiere 7-1. Emperor says, every death pushed the story along better. Well, again, I can't argue with your point of view because it's your point of view. All I can do is I can make the case for you, and I can also simultaneously make the case for the people who said, no, it didn't. So, and Anthony, I'll give you that as an example. How many people here think Carl's death, a suicide in a church after being bit by a walker, made the story better? Now, I'm not going to try to persuade any of you by saying it was a lame-ass death they gave to Carl. Did I just indirectly sway? All right, so Emperor, that's my point. See, here's the thing, I really, really know my audience. So for every point, it's so super easy to make a counter argument because I've seen these guys chat for 6 years, so I know what they're really passionate about. So I don't know that every death has, that's like saying it again. And Anthony, you're actually making my argument for me, is by saying every death pushed the story along. And I'm not saying you're arrogant, but I'm saying that's the viewpoint that a lot of the producers have for The Walking Dead. We can just kill anybody we want. It's going to push the story along. And it does push the story along. But we don't know if it could be better because we're not going to get the chance to see it better. We can only see it for what it is. But I would make an argument that, look, do I think Chandler Riggs was the best actor out there? No, I don't. But, and you guys will probably disagree with me on this, I don't think Chandler Riggs could have been a leading man on the show. And I would have been okay with them replacing him for a different character that I thought could do a better leader in the future. Maybe not right now. I mean, I'd have kept Chandler around a couple more years. But if I'm talking about what my vision of Carl Grimes was going to be in the future, there were options. I don't know that Chandler Riggs could carry the show. Some of you guys, you may think so, and that's fine. We can certainly disagree on that. But I would have certainly kept Carl's character alive. And typically I'm not a big fan of replacing characters, but if you want to take a teenage Carl and then bring him back later on as an adult Carl that could be like a younger Daryl or a younger Rick and really push the show. And here's the example. Judith can probably do that. There's another one. Okay, here you go. I agree with that. Too cool for school. How many people think Jesus got a really cool death and they used his character to the fullest and his death pushed the story along? So I'll give you example number 2. First example was Carl. Example number 2, Jesus. And thank you for bringing it up, Too Cool for School, because I wasn't going to suggest that. Now, On the flip side of that, I'm going to give you one, and I'm going to agree with Emperor. I'm going to agree with Anthony here. I thought Siddiq's death was very well done. I thought Siddiq's death pushed the story along for the better. I like that they were very sneaky and cryptic. And it's actually one of the things that finally got me fearing Alpha a little bit. That she was that sneaky that she could do some of that stuff. So, I thought Siddiq was pretty well done. And Jack Wagner, you give me a third one that I agree with. How many people liked 150-pound Negan choke slamming Simon and killing Simon in a hand-to-hand fight? I did not like that either. I do not think that pushed the story along. In fact, I think that's one of the examples that I will throw the gauntlet down and say it was a terrible mistake. Simon should have been the crossover character to go to Fear. Simon should have been exiled. He should have tracked Dwighty Boy down to Fear the Walking Dead. So to me, that set the story back. That would have been a great, great crossover. Best crossover in the show. Simon could have been a bad, bad dude. And people like Simon. They like Simon like they liked Negan. That's what kind of shocked me about that is just thought, I thought there was opportunity. So, and look, a lot of you guys got good comments, and I'm going to jump around. So, I don't want to kind of zero in on one or two people because I love a good debate. But I'm just saying that the numbers are up. I won't disagree with that. I think Dan typed that a little bit ago. The show is in as good of a place as it's been prior to 7. I don't disagree with that. I think the show is in a good spot right now. But there is that side of me that misses people that left the show, and you could call them fair weather fans, and there's more for us, right? I mean, we're not going anywhere. But at the same time, you don't want to push a few people away that might have been on the fence. So I do agree. Well, I hate to say it like this. I'm not going to say I agree with Michael Cutlass. I'm glad he agrees with us because this has been something we've been talking about for some time. And here's another quote by Michael Cutlass that I thought was really good. He says, either one of us, okay, look at this. Same question I ask. This is Glenn and Abraham, but this is Michael talking. Either one of us should have lived a little bit longer because I think people were very affected by it. They said, oh my gosh, it is the most graphic, brutal death. It was murder porn. He concluded, I think you would like to start the season with a little bit more of a hug than a punch in the face or throat. It's pretty powerful. So we had this cliffhanger, and then after 6 months of talking about it, we get this gruesome edge of your seat, like you can't watch, and you're left with that and those images. And it was bad enough to see him do it to Abraham. The Glenn eye thing, and I know it was in the comics, I could have lived without it. Anthony says, Simon needed to die for Oceanside Massacre, then lying to Negan about killing the scavengers. Why did he need to die? I mean, that's kind of my Why did he need to die in an unrealistic way of someone that you know Simon could overpower? See, I don't know he needed to die. I know what his relationship was to the story. I know what he did to Jadis. So why could Simon not have taken all that evil and all that baggage to fear the walking dead? So, all right, I'm going to give you guys 3 choices, okay? You get to pick one. All right, who would be a better villain on Fear the Walking Dead? Proctor John? Jenny from the block? Or Simon, who had murdered all the men from Oceanside and had murdered all of Jadis's people? Who would have had more credibility as a villain on Fear the Walking Dead to cross over? And it would have been an easy story. All he did was follow Dwight. They already had a connection. He could have been stalking Dwight the whole time. Dwight was looking for Sherry, and Simon was looking for Dwight. It's not even a stretch. It's not even like, look, this is a stretch. Morgan went to Texas. This off-the-wall place in Texas. Sherry just happened to go to the same place. Dwight, of all places, just happened to walk into the exact same place. That's hard for me to believe that all that could happen. But if all that is going to happen, Simon following Dwight is probably the least hard thing to sell to me than the other things. If you want to know how virtually impossible it is for Morgan this probably might be the most coincidental thing in the history of Walking Dead. If you want to know how virtually it is impossible it is to find a needle in a haystack, and the odds of Sherry ending up in the same place as Morgan, and the odds of Dwight ending up in the same place as both of them, and just walking up, Dwight? You know, they see each other. At the end of the stream, go out in your backyard and wait for like 10 minutes, and I'm just going to walk out randomly and see how many of you I just happen to end up in your backyard. Odds are it's not going to happen. Now, hey, we bridge that gap, and I'm not saying that we make everything realistic on a show about zombies that's unrealistic, but that might be the hardest thing that's ever happened. The world is a big, big place, and for you just to happen to stumble up on somebody at the exact same time they happen to be there, that's pretty crazy stuff. I think I once flew from Dallas to Houston, and I got lost in the airport. So if you're talking about walking from D.C. to Dallas, and then you happen to end up in the same small ghost town as somebody else, yeah, it's probably like a 1 in a gazillion chance. But Simon following him would have been a little bit easier for me to believe. And for that reason, I think Simon would have been a great carryover. Blows my mind how many people talk about Madison coming back. What's Madison going to do? Fear the Walking Dead needs a villain. They don't need any more heroes. They got Dwight. They got Morgan. They got Alicia. They got John. They got June or Laura or whatever her name is. They got enough. Animal, wonder if they bring Sherry to Fear this season. Sherry's already at Fear. Anthony says, more crazy that the Empire was defeated by Ewoks. I guess. Yeah, I mean, we don't need any more heroes on Fear the Walking Dead. We got enough. We don't need to bring back the dead ones. Well, hey, now, I mean, if you brought Madison back as somebody evil and she was like Two-Face from Batman, then maybe. But other than that, oh my God. You know, Madison was the Morgan speech on Fear the Walking Dead before Morgan gave speeches on Fear the Walking Dead. Did you guys forget that? Let me remind you. And once again, I do have to profess my fandom for all things Walking Dead. If you guys are having a good time tonight, do me a favor. Give this video a thumbs up. We talk open and honest, and sometimes we take off the gloves. Sometimes we roll up the sleeves. But I'm going off some things that you guys said. And I know for a fact, raise your hand right now, or give this video a thumbs up, if the Morgan speeches were a little much. So, before our group highlighted the Morgan speeches, the two biggest frustrations on Fear the Walking Dead were the Madison speeches and the Fear the Walking Dead coincidence. Very much, the show has a long history of coincidental encounters. Like when Nick left and went to Mexico. And then they all just happened to find each other. But how many times did we see Madison make Alicia feel like crap only to show her love for Nick? I mean, I got to a point where, Alicia's always like, hey, what about me? I need a hug. It was always Nick. It's always Nick. I probably can't do the Madison voice without sounding a little bit like Maggie. But you get the idea. It was always about saving Nick and saving Nick and saving Nick. And poor Alicia never got any attention. And I was starting to like Alicia's toughness till they had her painting damn trees last season. What was that all about? What's the deal? Oh, boy. You talk about Simon being missed opportunity. How many people here felt like they really, really missed an opportunity with Alicia last season? I mean, were we not fired up to see like badass Alicia is going to start killing people? She's going to be like Madison without the speeches. And then, come on. My destiny is to paint trees for, to show how much I love my mom. To inspire other people. That hurt me. That hurt my soul watching that last season. I had so much hope for what they were going to do. Alicia, Wes, Dwight. I mean, they had the perfect setup, right? They were down in that oil field, and everybody just could have been like awesome. And what's bad about it, you know what? I like Troy too. Troy had some potential. Mel the Vulture had some potential. But potential doesn't mean anything if they don't capitalize on it. Do you guys remember the promo of Fear the Walking Dead last season? Raise your hand if you remember the promo at the beginning of the season. And if you don't, I'll walk you through. They had, I don't remember exactly who was in front. Might have been Morgan, right? But they had all of them kind of like staggered and in line. So you had like Morgan up front, and you had John with his gun. Then you had Alicia, and it was like, wow, this season is finally going to be the season. They were like the Avengers. I remember seeing this, and I remember doing a video with you guys saying, check it out this season. Man, Fear the Walking Dead, they are making the leap. This is going to be the season. And they got all of them up there with all their gear. Alicia's got like a butterfly knife, and then, June's there. The whole group is there. It almost feels like a dream right now. I'm being honest. Like I had to remind myself that really happened. It did. Great promo. And never happened. It just didn't. But it should have. Because what? You guys tell me something right now. What's your favorite Rick Grimes memory? Dimes, that's really $1 million question. Dimes says, Kills, do you think Fear will step it up this season, or are we in for a slow and painful letdown? You know what? They took way too long last season to transition and tell the story. And now what they said, Ian and Andrew, you're going to love it. We had to get there. I like to think they're going to step it up, but I got to tell you, I don't love Jenny. Jenny's big moment right now is sitting at that little hotel eating a sandwich. Yeah. She's more weird than scary. So, I got Too Cool for School saying Savage Rick, and Amy saying, you talking to me? Are you talking to me? Gina biting the guy's throat out. Yeah, I mean, all those things, right? That's what you think about when you think about Rick. What about Daryl? Daryl, it's not, I guarantee you, your favorite Daryl moment was not when he was, well, some people might disagree, but was probably not when he was sitting naked in the jail cell eating dog food sandwiches. Jenny, right now, Anthony, he says Jenny's Alpha's cousin. Jenny could be Satan's cousin, and I still don't think it's too early. All right, I'm not going to rule out Jenny yet, but let me say this: the whole scene with Morgan at the end didn't. Nah. Crystal's is naked in the cell. You know, the only reason the naked jail cell sticks in my mind is because I feel like it was I feel like they borrowed the idea from the Guns N' Roses "Don't Cry" video when Axl was in the grave. Even the way Daryl was sitting there and, you know, he's looking at his hands. It's kind of the same way Axl was sitting there looking at his hands in the "Don't Cry" video. There's a couple things that I don't love about that. But I would say, you know, our characters have their memorable moments. And Morgan, when he was on, you know, really the thing about Morgan on The Walking Dead, yeah, you liked him, you didn't like him, you liked him, you didn't like him. And then, to me, Morgan sticks in with kind of like, well, I don't die. And then he goes over to Fear, and he has that really odd situation with the Sharpie lady, and then he gives these long, drawn-out speeches. So the Morgan character, I think, well, let's not worry about what I think. How many of you think the Morgan character has been tarnished since he's went over to Fear the Walking Dead? That Morgan does not feel like the same Morgan that you loved on The Walking Dead? That I agree with, Maggie B. The rocket launcher was a great Daryl moment. All right, so look, we've got all these good things. So here's the context. So on Walking Dead, we have these moments where we glorify our characters, right? We have multiple big moments with Rick, where he's biting somebody's throat out, or is you talking to me? And even Maggie. Right? You might not have liked Maggie, but think about what Maggie did. She hung Gregory. Even in the weird episode at the end with Maggie, Jesus, what you did, saving them people, that was right. What Rick did, that was wrong. Even Maggie, in her transitional worst possible moments, is better than the best moments on Fear the Walking Dead. I didn't like it, nor did I understand it, but it was still Maggie. Maggie sent a coffin back to Negan. That takes balls, okay? Has anybody on Fear the Walking Dead ever put somebody in a coffin and sent it back to the bad guy and basically said, there you go. What are you going to do about it? Come on. That was, whether you like Maggie, you don't like Maggie, that was a badass Maggie moment. Tara didn't put nobody in no coffins. I know some of you like Tara. I was not a fan of Tara. But as a leader, she didn't put anybody in no coffins. Maggie did. Because Maggie wanted to kill Negan at Glenn's grave. Now, how about Sasha? You know what? Sasha wasn't even a star of the show, and Sasha would have been a bigger badass than anybody in the history of Fear. Sasha was what? 10th best, 15th best when she was on the show? Would have been a much, much stronger character than anybody on Fear. And look, I can go all day. I can go all day and tell you about the 20th, 25th, 30th best person on Walking Dead. And then, what do you have? You have a promo on Fear the Walking Dead. And we finally are going to have our moment. Dimes, back to your super chat. We're finally going to have our moment. Our Sasha moment. Our Abraham. Our Glenn. Our Maggie. Our Rick. We got all of them lined up. Of course, they're not those people. They're Morgan. They're John. They're Dwight. They're Alicia. So, if I take all of those people, they're not bad. Right? I mean, Alicia could be a beast if she wanted to be. Morgan can be. John Dory did a San Antonio split. I mean, he's got all these cool things. But we never saw it. So, this transition, this story, this painting trees, this going back and, first of all, the season finale of Fear was dumb. It was stupid because they were going to the ranch, then Morgan was going to work out a deal with Jenny. They weren't going to work out a deal. They knew they were trapped. They saw all the people that were there had already died. And then they were going to turn themselves in, and then they decide to fight, and then they need her help. They don't need her help. And, okay, why didn't they just ambush her? You knew she was a killer. So, and then you have this wedding, and come on. John and June, they go through all this trouble to get married, and then what happens? June, I'm going to find you. June. I love you, June. I love you, June. I'm going to find you. Well, don't leave her. He was just babbling. You just went through all this trouble to be together, and now you're going to be separated, and you got to find her all over again. Again. You already found her twice, man. The odds of you finding her a third time, probably not very, well, you know what, it's Fear of the Walking Dead. The odds are pretty good he will find her a third time. So, Dimes, to answer your question, if we have to tie up all the loose ends that they've created for us, I have my doubts. Because one of the loose ends has to be John finding June again and breaking through all these people, and they never should have had that problem in the first place. So I'm concerned. I'm very concerned about that. Now, let's see if this would have been cooler. All right. You introduce Jenny, who's probably not going to be a real good villain. So just bear with me. I'm going to give you my season finale of Fear the Walking Dead. And see if this would have gotten a little bit more respect. Okay. The group's going toward the ranch. They get to the ranch, and they see all these people. Their water was poisoned. They died, and they knew Jenny had something to do with it. So, they radio it in. Maybe like Forrest Gump. Hello, Jenny. And then they get Jenny to come in. But you know what? They don't wait like sitting ducks. They hide out. And then when Jenny pulls up, they ambush them and they kill them all. So we don't have to worry about another poorly developed bad guy. They become badasses. Alicia's not up there painting murals with Wes. They throw paint in her eyes, and then they headlock her and body slam her, and then they kill all Jenny's people. And then at the end, helicopter lands, and Sherry gets out, I don't know, some tight black leather like Joan Jett at the jukebox. So Sherry gets out, and she's walking up like a badass and says something like, Dwight, we need to talk. And then they're recruiting, and then they got some battle. And now we got a cliffhanger going over CRM. Are they good? They bad? But we can actually give our group a little bit of something, right? We got something to hang our hat on, and we don't get questions like, is this season going to be good or is it not going to be good? At least we would know that the people on Fear of the Walking Dead actually have the ability to fight something. But now we're going to be asking this question, and then the question I have for all of you is, how many episodes is it going to take, or how many episodes are we going to deal with before we say, you know what? When are you going to break in Jenny's stronghold? When are you going to rescue June? How long is that going to take? Who's going to die? Somebody's going to die. And then who's Jenny working for? Because it took them a whole season to develop even the semblance of a villain, and we still don't know what kind of villain she is. Yeah, I would have just killed her off at the end. And exactly, Maggie. John Dory has so much potential. I mean, we wanted him to cross over to Walking Dead. That's true. 15 episodes. You're probably right. But you know what? I don't think it'll be 50. I think it'll be by mid-season finale. I think it'll be 6 or 7, and we're saying, you know what? Something big is going to happen. You guys remember? This is how bad it was. Honestly, I kid you not. The Fear the Walking Dead, if memory serves me correct, the mid-season finale was about them flying the plane and then landing it, and then who was going to be the villain, and the petroleum and the oil and all of those things, right? I mean, that was where we ended it. Is would they get on the plane in time? You know, they're running. Wait for us. No, we got to take off. It's not going to last. We got a radiation cloud that's burning into us. And, split second we get you on the plane. And then, the plane's too heavy. And then, they finally get over the hill, and then they land it. And then what we're thinking is like, the second half is really going to be about this fuel. And it wasn't. It was about, they kicked the dude out and made him walk and wear out their big play was the shoe soles. He walked so far that he lost his shoe soles. And then we got to meet Wes. And don't get me wrong, I thought Wes was a breath of fresh air, but again, it was a half-developed story. And it turned into paintings. Kel says Fear needs more action, less dialogue. Possibly so. Now, one way to get you super, super excited about The Walking Dead is to talk about fear. Because anytime we talk about fear, boy, are we super excited for The Walking Dead to come back. I don't know. It's like watching pro sports and watching high school. Yeah, I don't know. You remember, like, what was the dude's name? I don't even remember his name. I know he got shot in the head by Jenny. He was such a bad middleman, I don't even remember what he was called. I wished I did. I should remember his name. Somebody help me. Help me with the bad villain we didn't know what his name was going to be. Jimstone says the only good episode was meeting the CRM. Yeah, I mean, start to finish, that was pretty good. Somebody will hit Google in a second. See? I'm not the only person who doesn't even remember the... Logan! There you go. Thank you. Logan. Logan was his name. Nobody remembers. Half the people are like, that guy. See? You don't forget a villain. You don't forget a villain on The Walking Dead. Logan. So, Logan, and then... they kicked him out of the car, and then we found out in the mid-season premiere that he had to walk, and he was upset about doing all that walking. And he mentioned the soles of his shoes. And you thought, like, you know what? This guy's going to be a bad, bad dude. He's out for blood. Nope. So we had Mel the Vulture. Nope. We had Logan. Nope. And we have Jenny. Don't know. Is it that hard to have a villain in a show? I go back to Simon. You already had one. You already had a villain pre-packaged, pre-made. All you had to do, send him over. So much opportunity. But you know what? Hey, we're an hour into tonight's stream, and I'm having a great time just hanging out talking about The Walking Dead with you guys. Nothing confirmed, no leaks, no rumors, no BS, no wasting 15 minutes of your time with something that'll never happen. This is what you're going to get from our channel. We're going to hang out. We're going to have a good time. We'll talk about different topics. And when there is news, we'll certainly have the news out there. And when there is a reaction, we're going to react to it. We're going to talk about what we like about the show. But that's who we are. It's what we do. And you know what? It might have taken us 4 years, but we have an identity. And this, if you're watching the playback, this is the 999 Army. We love the show. We're fans. But we certainly love healthy and active debate and to get everybody's thoughts, everybody's comments included in the videos. So I want to thank you guys for being here tonight. We will do it again next week, of course, as we get closer and closer. If we do, if there is a spoiler or something that comes out, I'm going to warn you guys because I know a lot of our fans don't want the spoilers. Some do, some don't. But as we get closer and closer and we find a release date, we're going to ramp up and get to a couple nights a week, 3 nights a week. So we'll certainly be a lot more active and a lot more visible. But if you guys want to hang out with us, we will be here tomorrow night doing a little bit of turn-based role play. So if you like D&D, you like Magic the Gathering, you like Warcraft, you like Warhammer, you like all those things merged into one, hang out with us on a Friday night. And we'll be here over the weekend too. And we got some good tag team PvP matches for you guys next week. But for the Walking Dead fans, this stream is all about you guys. Make sure you hit the little bell down at the bottom, and you'll be notified anytime we do a stream. So thanks, everybody. Appreciate you guys. Top left-hand corner is the patrons. They support this channel for a long, long time. I'm extremely fortunate to have a lot of sponsors, a lot of supporters of this channel. Top right-hand corner are the PDL sponsors. PDL packs will be going out to you guys in about a week. So start checking your mailboxes sometime at the end of next week, and you're going to get some good stuff that shows up. If you guys want to be a Patreon, there's a link down below in the description. My moderators are awesome. You see Amy, you see Julia, you see Ben, you see Kel. Unbelievable group of people. Our moderators just put in some hours. Great group of people. Of course, our green team, those are all of our members. Thank you for everything that you guys do. I see some people upgrading. Colors start to change. So we have some people that have been Jason Mixologist Daily over 2 years as a member of the green team. 2 straight years. And, of course, my biggest shout out goes to each and every one of you. So you guys know the drill. That's right, Samantha. You know the drill. Give me a 999 in chat, everybody, so I can shout out as many people in this video as humanly possible in the next 60 seconds. So just want to say thank you to Samantha Coombs for being a part of our channel. Appreciate everything that you do. And there's going to be a whole lot of 999s to jump in here very quickly. That's right. Watch this screen light up, everybody. Big Tree, thank you so much. June Smith, thank you. Appreciate you as well. Ocean Man on his way to 2 years. Anthony Ancona, thank you so much, Emperor. Appreciate that. Maggie B, thank you. Cookie, that chick, thank you so much, Cookie. Appreciate you. Andy, 317. Kim Ames, always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for being here, Kim. B-Dub, Hippo in the house. Coma Drug, thank you. Rebecca Mendez. You guys hear a lot of these names over and over because they've been here for a long time. Miss, thank you. Malcolm, good to see you. Animal as well. Lisa C, Diana C, Tammy Hill, thank you, Tammy. Janie Fogel, appreciate you. Donnie T, Jim Stone, thank you, Jim. Rocket Crockett, thank you, Gina. Cats, good to see you. Cats, 1964. And, you know, while you guys are typing 999, on a really serious note, and I know I don't say this and we don't get into it in streams, be safe, everybody. I absolutely look forward to seeing all of you guys in the streams. And the best way to stay in these streams is to keep yourself safe. So, because that way when The Walking Dead starts, I need our entire army to be 100% active, healthy, and ready to go. Sheila Beasley, thank you so much. If I missed any of you guys in a shout out, Busy B, I see you. I will certainly catch you guys next time. So thanks again, and I will see you guys, Walking Dead fans, next week. PDL players, I'll see you tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Peace.